Alright, hi everyone, my name is Shirley Mille. I'm a speech therapist from Ngwelezane. I'm here at Empangeni to support the rest of the team, and we are here in terms of autism awareness. Autism awareness is one of the largest areas that are growing in South Africa currently, and it's usually to deal with kids that are not coping in terms of communication wise as well as socially. So we often categorize them as autistic. It's a general term which falls under an umbrella, and autism has a spectrum, and in terms of the spectrum, the way we break it down, we look at the severity of how the child is coping as compared to the next one. And in terms of the spectrum, we have your Asperger's, which is considered as very mild autistic, and then you have your different underlying autism, such as one that can co-occur with disorders such as Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. So those will be considered your severe cases. And in terms of autism, we also require a holistic approach in terms of other professions such as occupational therapists, us from speech-wise, as well as psychology, to actually get an overall broad of how the child is coping and which school will be best for the child, because they would need a special needs education. Autism, we look at their speech, language, as well as pragmatics, which is in simple terms is called social aspect. So in terms of speech, we look at, okay, if they are communicating, when they communicate with us, are they using like words, if they want juice, juice. If not, are they using short phrases, which is what we call like a short sentence. So most of our kiddies, with autism, they don't really often use words to communicate. There's different levels. So some of the kids will actually use gestures, or what we call signs, instead of words. Others will actually repeat what you're saying, so would regard that as communication, but sometimes with or without intention. So I could be asking them, and they'll repeat exactly the same thing instead of actually answering the question. So we look at those kind of things, and then we look at, in terms of language, are they using words, are they using short sentences? If they are, they're repeating what you're saying. Is it systematically correct, as in, more you break it down, the sentence, does it make sense to omunye umuntu, or does it make sense to them only? And then in language, you also look at things such as mobatuma. How much of the instruction do they do? Because it comes on my level. So there's like simple instructions where there's one word, for example. So not exactly one word, but there's one instruction. So you tell them humble and and then if they can't do that, then that's good. Then you look at level 2, which will be like 2 instructions. So I've told them to do 2 things: to go to the room and fetch their shoes. So in autism, they don't complete the instruction. It's either they do the first part of the instruction or the last part, or they don't do it at all. And in terms of socially, we teach them basics. It's kind of from our basics, such as greetings. For example, when you go to other areas or understand autism, they consider the child as being rude because abenzanga any basic greetings. Then you'll work on areas such as the more you socially acceptable norms, the more shy joke, umntwana understanding joke, and agazi ukuthi yabo bekuyijoke yabo mhlawumbe abanye they'll take it literally instead of figuratively. And then another example of socially, maybe momthengela igift umntwana, mhlawumbe sithi last year wamthengela amapijama bese umunye umuntu mhlawumbe ugogo umthengela amapijama naye. Instead of saying thank you, they'll be like, how ngoba nginakho nje lokho. So that would be considered rude kwabanye abantu banga-understand ukuthi no, umntwana autistic in terms of our social aspects, understand. So those are the kind of things we work in. In terms of autism, it's a really lovely area to go into, but in South Africa we have great difficulty in terms of diagnosing our children. And actually, when you look at it in terms of cultural aspects, who actually understand what autism is, even if you break it down. Earlier on in the presentation, they'd consider it as a gift, but then they wouldn't actually go and seek help in terms of rehab in any circumstance given. And it's a lovely area, but once again it's challenging because because everyone presents differently, so the way you approach each case will be different. It's very important because, like I said earlier on, more and more kids we're actually identifying with, okay, they're not coping in a mainstream school and they actually need more rehabilitative in terms of assistance. So they need your special needs school, they need the diagnosis, they need rehab, they just need everyone to assist them and have them placed in the right school. Because Mobafagu mainstream and they're not coping, automatically they fall through the cracks and then we don't know what happens from there.